Welcome to Vegas Pulse, stories from the back of the house. And returning for another visit to Vegas Pulse is my good friend and business associate, Mr. Vegas Vahan. How you doing, Vahan? Good
Hey,
to have
brother.
you back.
I'm glad to be back.
Thank you so much.
Had a good time with you.
You have so much history here in Las Vegas. We had to bring you back for another show.
Oh, thank
I
you.
want to talk about the times when you handled some very shady characters back in the 70s, early 80s, when you were in the advertising agency business. And by the way, you had one of the biggest ad agencies in town. I bet you didn't even know how that happened.
Right.
But that could be another show. But take us to the accounts and take us to the Golden Steer. You were giving us a story about that earlier.
You know, when I was doing advertising, I would get referrals. You know, I do an advertising for the real estaters was the client, and he was right next to the Golden Steer. And he invited me to the owner and thought maybe I could do some work for him. And he gave me a shot, and we were doing radio and TV commercials for the Golden Steer. It's still here. It's a beautiful place.
Still here.
But anyway, unbeknownst to me, all of the mafia would all go there for dinner. And Elvis and Colonel Parker and a lot of people in Vegas would go there. I mean, that was a hub for the back of the house.
Back of the house people.
Anyway, so I started doing the advertising there and got to know some of the guys. And well, I used to always do the commercials and the work for Joe Kalugian, who was the owner. And sometimes my cost would be too much that he wanted to pay. So he would pay me a little money, and he'd give me food. And I'd be dining on steak and lobster every night. I'd bring it home to the family, you know, because that was like trading. We used to call it trade.
Trade, yeah.
So anyway, as I go there quite often, I would meet some of the guys, you know, some of the mafia. And, you know, I got stuck at one point in my ad agency, and I was really short financially, and you know, just talking things, what you're going through. You know, you just talk with people, and I'm going through this, I'm going through that, and then somebody said, "Hey, you know, Bonfiglio is he's got the green. If you need it, I can arrange a meeting." And I have a meeting, and before I know it, I'm borrowing money from a loan shark.
Uh-oh.
So, you know, I'd seen some movies, so I knew you pay this one back. And I did. And
How much did you borrow?
You know, 25,000.
25,000.
25,000.
In the 70s, was this?
No, this was now in maybe in the 80s.
Early 80s.
Yeah, because I was improving my staff. And, you know, I started out with one assistant, and then I get another and another, but I really needed to put it up because I was competing with you and your
Yes,
buddy.
you were.
And it was a trip. But anyway, I got the money, and I did what I needed to do.
What was the deal on the 25? How much did you have to pay back? What was the vig on that?
Well, it was like, it was endless. I think at the end, it was about 37,000 I paid back.
You borrowed
And,
25 and you
25
paid
and-
37,000
Yeah.
back.
And, you know, I didn't know how to do business.
Not exactly
with-
Dollar Loan Center,
I didn't
is
know
it?
how to do business with a loan shark. But whatever they said, it was good with me. You know what I mean? And we just kept going on, and I don't think I'm getting a good deal or a bad deal, but I'm getting a deal that's helping me grow. So everything was good, and eventually some of these guys that were in the mafia, I mean, being in the mafia meant they worked in the casino business, and they were skimming. So when they would skim, they would have this cash, and they'd have to launder it. So they'd buy clothing stores, jewelry stores, car dealers, and they all needed advertising, and I became their advertising.
The
you know,
Mafia's
there was
ad agency.
There was well, we didn't advertise it, but there was a Honda dealer, and there was an Italian restaurant. Real interesting story with the Italian restaurant.
Can you tell that story when we come back?
I will.
All right.
Thank you.
You're watching Vegas Pulse. We're really going back of the house today with Vegas Vahan. We'll be right back. Vegas Vaughn is my guest on Vegas Pulse. Everybody's Vegas in Vegas. Keep going with that story that we left that you were just talking about.
The Italian restaurant.
The Italian restaurant.
All right. So, all right. Well, first of all, I signed a release, so I got to be careful about how I talk and no names. And this particular business, this restaurant is still open. I don't know if he's there, but he received this Italian restaurant, and I was doing his advertising, and we were becoming friendly because he was doing good business, and you know, he had a beautiful place, and I used to go there too, and he had entertainment and this and that, and I'm like learning how he got the restaurant, and it happens to be that he used to be in New York. He lived in New York, and he was in the family there, and he went to jail. He got busted, and he went for, I think it was 5 or 6 years in prison. He never talked. He never said anything, and didn't squeal. You know, when he got out, the family gave him the restaurant as a business, as a gift.
The place is still open.
Yeah, it's still open.
I don't think we ought to say what it is.
Well, we don't, you know, but it's Italian and it's good. And
what
there's
street
a lot
is-
of Italian
what street
restaurants
is
in
it on?
Vegas. Yeah.
Is it on Sahara? What road is it on?
It's on
Where is-
Tropicana.
On Tropicana. We'll just leave it at that.
Tropicana, yeah. Tropicana.
Still
and,
there. Uh-huh.
And yeah, man, and it was a trip, and it told me something about him. You know, people talk about the mafia like they're this and that and whatever, but they really are truly loyal to their family, as they call everybody, and I mean, you know, hey, when I say they're good people, it's like there's everybody. I mean, you meet a Polish guy, or you meet a Armenian guy, or a Jewish guys. You know, there's integrity within their family, but there are rogues that will get a piece and go
You know,
out somebody. And
Debbie Reynolds once said, and I think she probably wasn't happy she said it, but the only people that were killed were the ones that deserved to be killed.
That's
They
why
earned it.
I was never that close, but
Yeah.
I can imagine, because I mean, they were good businessmen. They just wanted to do what they wanted to do to be able to provide for their family, and they were aggressive about it. But I'm aggressive about my wedding business. You know, I want to. I'm the best officiant doing weddings, and they thought that they were the best about what they were doing. And there were territories, and there were limits in which they could do this or that or whatever, or where they could do it, or so on. They respected one another, you know.
How
So
did
I
they
don't-
pay you, Vaughn? Did they pay you well? Did they pay you on time? I mean, you had to pay them on time.
Well,
Were they good about that?
No, they were very, very honest. One, it was wild. Actually, the father was the owner, and the son was inheriting the clothing store that his father had, and he used to pay me with drugs.
Oh,
And this is back in the day. It's an old time, but when he would pay me in drugs, then I would have to pay other people, like the production people, to record the commercial that we're making. I've got to either pay them with cash or I got to pay them with the drugs. And whenever I would say, guys, I don't have any cash on this one, all I got are drugs. Yay, I'm in. I mean, this is back in the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, This is another world I lived in. So doing an officiant and marrying people is so contrast to what I used to do. And the Buddhism that I've been doing for 51 years, when I chant Nam Myoho Renge Kyo, this keeps me honest with life. And it's interesting how the mystic law, Nam Myoho Renge Kyo, is the mystic law. You change the way you live your life. And so anyway, but talking about the past,
Yep.
I love it, man, because this is a history that I lived through. And when I watched a Casino movie, Casino with
Yes,
De Niro
yes.
and Pesci, I relive those.
I do the same thing, Vaughn. I watch the Casino movie. It's like old home week.
Right, exactly.
Because that movie, the time frame for that movie was the 70s and the early 80s, and that's when you and I, two young guys,
Right.
chasing everything in town
And booming.
and booming and making lots of money. The tax man never saw any of my income. Basically, everything was in cash, and we never had to worry about that.
right.
They weren't issuing any W-9s or miscellaneous income, 1099s, whatever.
What is that?
In those days, what's that? Nobody kept books.
Right. Or you had kept two books,
Yeah.
But it was a trip with living that era. And remember the sporting house?
Sure.
More sporting house on Industrial? Man, the Mafia used to hang out there too. Lefty Rosenthal and
Lefty
Pesci
was there,
and,
yeah.
also Siegfried and Roy from the Mirage.
The sporting house is where the Sapphires Topless Club is
Yeah.
right now. Did you ever handle a strip joint, Vaughn?
No, I didn't.
No, I did.
You did?
yeah.
Oh, man.
I had the Olympic Garden,
Oh, wow, man.
and that was a lot of fun.
Oh,
He also owned the taxi cab company as well, the guy that owned the Olympic Garden. Yellow Cab was his. So every cab that he owned would deliver the people to the Olympic Garden.
Unbelievable.
What a way to get the business.
I tell you, the pleasure of being in Vegas, the scenery was always awesome. Beautiful women, beautiful areas. The lights, of course, kind of jumps energizes you all the day, But anyway, it was a trip when we were here during those times, and like the Sapphire, when they closed the sporting house, they just replaced tables, poles, and tablecloths, and the track, the indoor track, is still there. If you go to the Sapphire and you look under the tablecloth, you'll see there's a indoor track. It's still there. It's like
Still there.
unbelievable. Yeah. But anyway, it was cool, and I remember when Lefty Rosenthal. He owned the town, and the Stardust. The casino is called what's it called? Mountain.
It's called Tangiers in the movie.
Yeah, Tangier, but it is modeled after the
Stardust,
Stardust.
yes.
And Lefty, I think in the movie they have him as running the place, but he was the director of entertainment.
Right.
And he knew everybody and everything. And since he split, now when it happens in Vegas, I know about it.
Were you ever there when we did I was there when they did the Lefty Rosenthal sports show from the sports book.
That's right.
And if you remember the film company, I can't think of his name, it's Bob somebody. He was the producer of all that. Anyway, I was one of the grips.
Oh,
I was carrying cables during that show when he was doing it from the Stardust. What Lefty Rosenthal did, and in the movie it's Ace Rothstein, what he did was take the sports books off the street and put them into casinos. And you can see now what's happened with sports books. It's all about sports.
it is. It is.
What do you think of Vegas now that we are the sports center of the world as well as the entertainment capital?
You know, I love growth, development, expanding. You know, I'm an optimist, and I go like, keep going and keep building and make things happen. And I think it's unbelievable how everybody is coming to Vegas for not only the gambling, not only the entertainment, but the sports. And the sports is like, it energizes us. And I like it.
Take a break right now, and we're going to come back and talk about a little more about Vegas today with Vegas Vaughn and Vegas Vaughn's weddings. He'll give you some information about that at the end of the show. We'll be right back here on Vegas Pulse. We're back on Vegas Pulse, stories from the back of the house. I'm your host, Ron Garrett. My guest, Vegas Vaughn, one of my good friends, and a lot of interesting stuff you've got, Vaughn. Only people like us, you and I, especially you, can tell these stories. Because people say, I've been in Vegas a long time. I came in 1990. No, you haven't been here a long time.
Right.
So now we're a sports center. We've got Allegiant Stadium. We've got T-Mobile. We've got the Thomas and Mack. We've got a new baseball stadium going up, and they're talking about a basketball NBA right between the Fontainebleau and the Sahara. What do you think of Vegas today? How do you relate it to the old days?
Well, you know, it's different. And you got to feel like enjoy what there is to enjoy. You know, and of course, it's much more difficult to drive around here.
Oh, yeah.
Man, traffic is wild, and going to different kinds of events, you know, you got to have patience. And, you know, I think one of the things it's done is it's helped us to be able to kind of be more friendly and more together. You know, as you're waiting in line to go to Allegiant Stadium, I mean, you know, it's wild, but you get to know people and you get to find out where people are from and this and that. And then, of course, then you got the sports, and then you got you're for this team and they're for that team, and you know, it's just kind of it helps us as humans to be able to relate with one another a little, a different level, and you know, because when you're at a entertainment at a show, you can't really talk.
Right.
You know, you just kind of sit there and you nod and give a little toast to the person that you're with and so on. But I don't know. I'm into the humanistic part of it, but beware. You got to have patience. Don't plan to rush. Don't plan to have you know, like. Yeah, don't worry if you're late.
Yeah,
I mean,
throw the clock away.
You got to go with the flow, and that's the beauty part about life itself. You know, if you just go with the flow, and things will happen.
Let me bring this up.
Yeah.
At one time, and you remember this, you couldn't advertise gambling on television or on the radio.
Yeah.
Jim Rogers at Channel 3, he changed that.
Oh.
And it was because of him and the lawsuits that all of a sudden, not all of a sudden, he went through all kinds of things with that, but he was the ramrod where we could start advertising. We used to have to say Nevada-style fun. But after Jim Rogers did what he did, we were allowed to do gambling on television and radio.
Wow.
The NFL was a prime example. Vegas was not allowed to advertise in the Super Bowl. And now the
Right.
Super Bowl is in Las Vegas.
Right, right. It's wild how things have
It's
changed.
wild. We'll be
quite a
right
bit.
back with more
Yeah.
with Vegas Vaughn right after this. Back with Vegas Vaughn. More stories from the back of the house. And you've got some good back of the house stories. That's why we had to do 2 shows
Right,
with
man.
Vegas Vaughn.
Oh, it's endless. I'll tell you. Over 51 years, so many things have happened, and experiences that I've been able to enjoy. Really, have been.
Can you think of one thing that sticks out in your mind that you think about all the time and never forget?
Oh man, I tell you, probably at
Not all the young Buddhist girls that you picked up at the,
right,
at the
right.
church.
Right, right.
What do they call it? They don't call it a church. What is it?
No, we
A
call
temple?
it a Buddhist center.
Buddhist Center.
Buddhist center.
Yeah.
And the interesting about Buddhism is that everyone is equal. So we don't revere priests or leaders.
No Pope.
No, we're all equal, and we're all trying to become happy, and we're all trying to live a happy, easy life. And
So does anything
Yeah.
stick out about?
so anyway, that is really when I was introduced to Buddhism, that was a milestone that shaped my whole life for the 51 years, 52 years I've been here. 51 years I've been doing the Buddhist practice. But for the 50 years that I've been doing it, it has shaped and purified my life in the midst of this beautiful city. And I'm so grateful for those times. And it really made sense out of some of the things that I was going in, because everything that I was going in through was a humanistic experience.
I hope you don't mind me with this one, but I know at one time you were close to 500 pounds.
That's true. 470 pounds.
That's right. And you lost 250 pounds,
Yeah.
and you have kept it off. You look great,
Right on.
but back in the ad days, you were a pretty pudgy guy.
You know,
So
it
you
was
must have
wild.
really enjoyed the steaks and the lobster over at the Golden
Oh,
Steer.
man. I would go
And
to restaurants.
congratulations on that weight loss.
Thank you. Thank
That's
you.
an
man.
incredible feat and
You know, I
achievement.
used to go to restaurants and they'd say, "Well, what would you like?" And I'd say, "I'll take everything on the left side of the menu." You know, but I really went through that time. That was a very difficult time, especially at the Golden Steer, because the chairs had, their chairs had a side, and so
Arms.
arms, you know, and I couldn't sit in them because
Oh, no.
I was so big. But anyway, that was a great experience.
One more
And
time, what are you doing now? Get people your
I
information.
am ready to marry people. I'm an officiant, and I have a business called Vegas Vaughn Custom Weddings in Las Vegas, and you can get hold of me on the website.
What is it?
Vegas Custom Weddings at gmail.com.
Vegas Custom Weddings at gmail.com.
Yeah, and I go anywhere as long as we're in Nevada. My license is for Nevada, but the ceremony that I do is worldwide, accepted worldwide. It's legal wherever you go.
Well, you're worldwide now on this TV station. You're on Hey Vegas TV, and we're broadcast all over the world, including Armenia.
Whoa, man, my cousins.
Your cousins.
All right.
Vegas Vaughn, everyone, here on Vegas Pulse. Stories from the back of the house. What a great show. Thank you for watching. Thank you, Vaughn.
Thank
We
you.
appreciate
My
it.
pleasure, brother. I am so glad to be here. Thank you.
And we may bring you back again. We'll see you next time.